McDougall. I am a doctor of pharmacy. I have over 20 years of pharmacy experience. I have been counseling women and men with hormone imbalances and fatigue for over 5 years now. I have over 500 hours of integrative medicine training and emotional healing training. And I'm really excited today to tell you about a new class I'm teaching. It's called Imagine a Healthier Summer You. The cool thing about Imagine a Healthier Summer You is it's not based on the traditional, oh, you need to eat better and exercise. It's not just about that. It's a lot deeper than that. We all know it's not about calories in and calories out, because if it was, most of us would look much differently than we do now. So let's explore the principles in Imagine a Healthier Summer You.
Imagine. I stands for image, M is for messengers, A is for attitude and emotions, G is for gastrointestinal health, I is for inflammation, N is for nutrition, and E is for exercise and sleep. All of these are important factors in determining your body composition. Today in this introductory course, we will cover a few points in Imagine.
So I'd like to share a little bit about my journey with you. I've struggled with my weight since I was 14 years old. I was always an extreme pear-shaped body, which means I could wear small and mediums on my top, and then my bottoms I would have to have like 16 and 18 size pants. So has anybody else had trouble shopping for jeans? That was something that's especially hard for someone with a pear-shaped body. For me, I would go in the dressing room and I would have 3 pair of jeans. I'd have a 14, I'd have a 16, and I'd have an 18. I'd go in the dressing room and I wouldn't be able to get the 14s up past my thighs, and I wouldn't be able to get the 16s up over my hips, and then the 18s I could get up, but here on my waist, they'd be 4 or 6 inches out in my waist, and then they were really uncomfortable to wear. So a lot of times I never wore jeans. I just wore stretchy pants because that's what was comfortable. And that's long before stretchy pants were cool. About 5 years ago, for my profession, I started studying hormones, and then that took me into integrative medicine. So let me tell you about integrative medicine. Integrative medicine is like taking traditional medicine and alternative medicine, and it takes the best, well-proven things from both worlds, and it squishes them together into one medicine that helps more people, and we can serve more people this way. So I started studying integrative medicine, and I spent over 500 hours studying integrative medicine. And as I was studying about hormones, it fascinated me because I realized what was going on in me. I realized what my problems were. I had a severe estrogen to progesterone imbalance, and I had very high cortisol. And because of that high cortisol, my thyroid wasn't functioning very well. So it was really an eye-opener for me. So I started making changes in my lifestyle and changing things around to help heal those hormone issues. I also started learning about gastrointestinal health. And so at that time, I also started trying to change what my bacterial balance was in my gut and trying to heal my gut. And I was really concentrating on being healthy and improving my health. And in the process, after 3 months of this, working on this, I had shed 20 pounds. And I wasn't concentrating or thinking about shedding 20 pounds. I just looked down and they were gone. One of the cool parts about this was that I went from wearing size 16 and 18 jeans to wearing size 8, 10, and 12 jeans. But the best part about it was that I had a clearer mind. I had more energy and my joints didn't ache anymore. I was so excited about this. I would like to share what I've learned with you.
So I have this nephew named Bill. And Bill went on a mission for the LDS Church. And he was gone for 2 years. And like happens to a lot of young men that go on missions, Bill happened to gain a little weight on his mission. So he came home from his mission and he came to Rexburg to go to college, and he lived with us when he was going to college. And Bill was really serious about losing this weight. So he was really careful about what he ate. And he was out running every day. And he would run every day religiously, no matter what time of day it was, which put him sometimes running at night. So across the street from my house is a bike path that goes along the highway. And so he was out there running along this bike path, and they hadn't finished the bike path. They had just started it, and they had laid the gravel and compressed the gravel. So it was a pretty nice place to run off the road, but it wasn't paved, and there weren't bridges or crosswalks or anything in it. So Bill was out running, and just like, you know, when you're running or walking at night, what happens when those headlights come towards you? It blinds you. It totally and completely blinds you. Okay? So the headlights were coming towards Bill. And he knew that the path was straight, and he knew if he just kept running, he'd be fine. So he just kept running along, even though he was blind to where he was going. He kept running, and pretty soon, wham, he falls into the ditch. Because there wasn't a bridge built yet, he fell right into the water. And in the process, lost his glasses. And to this day, that hollow bridge is called Bill's Landing. We should call it Bill's Falling, but we figured he landed there and it sounded more cool. The reason that I shared this story with you is because we get so preoccupied and get so much tunnel vision and say and think to ourselves, weight loss, weight loss, weight loss, that we forget what our real goal should be. So what do you think your real goal should be? To be healthy. That's right. Your real goal should be healthy. That's where we want to go, and that's what we want to do. So we can't get brighted with the headlights of weight loss and forget that we need to stay on the path and not fall in the ditch. As we're going through today, I would like you to look for 3 important action take-home things for you, takeaways that you learn here that are going to help you in your life. Okay, so watch for 3 takeaways. Hormones. If you look at hormones and neurotransmitters and calories and their effect on your body composition, this is what it looks like. Okay, the hormone is like a 20-pound weight, and the calorie is like a 1-pound weight. Okay, yes, calories matter. And yes, if you eat too many calories, you will probably gain weight. But how many of us don't eat enough calories and we still gain weight or maintain weight? It's because these hormones have a huge effect on that. We're going to talk about my favorite hormone, cortisol. My favorite hormone, cortisol, otherwise known as the stress hormone. There it is. All right. Okay, so what happens when your body feels stressed? Well, let's just talk about a zebra. Let's talk about a zebra for a minute. When a zebra is getting chased by a lion, what happens to the zebra?
Stress hormones go up.
The stress hormones go up, okay? So his heart rate goes way up, okay?
Adrenaline goes up.
His adrenaline goes up. His heart rate and his blood pressure both go up, okay? And all the blood goes away from his stomach, okay? And actually, this is really interesting. When a zebra is being chased by a lion, his immune system already starts pumping out more white blood cells that it would need to fight infection, just in case he gets wounded. Okay? Is that interesting? Okay? The other thing is that his vision clears, and he can see super, super good, and he can think super, super good. Okay? So those are the effects of cortisol, the stress hormone. So initially, like, let's say, for instance, you're in traffic, and the car in front of you stops suddenly, and you barely miss him. Okay, the first thing that you feel is actually not cortisol. The first thing you feel is adrenaline, right? Adrenaline lasts for about 90 seconds. And then cortisol takes over after that and sustains the same type of things. And cortisol is the one that actually increases that immune response, maintains higher blood pressure, maintains higher heart rate. You know, your heart will race. Okay, make sure that there's no blood going to the stomach, because you don't want blood in the stomach, because you need it out here in your periphery so you can run fast to get away from the lion, right? So, and it helps your brain have that really good acuity. So those are kind of some of the functions of cortisol. Now, normally, this is a graph of your normal response to a stressor. So this is your cortisol level. You have a stressor, your cortisol goes up, and then it comes back down, and it has this little, it's called a recovery phase. So up here in this phase, you run faster, you have a focused mind, your immune system is activated, and you have more energy. In this recovery phase right here, you're tired. You have increased appetite because your body's trying to replace what you used when you were under this period of high stress. Okay, so those are kind of the messages that these levels of hormones send to your body. Okay, so this is normal stressor. This is what happens when you have a normal stressor. Let's talk about what happens if you have a continuous stressor. Does anybody have continuous stressors in their lives? Okay, I'm glad it's not just me. Okay, so initially, there's an alarm phase, just like on the original graph, right? And then there's a recovery phase. But if that stressor continues, it goes into a resistance phase. And the interesting thing that they found in this resistance phase was that there was still that high appetite. Okay, and the body was still robbing itself of other hormones. Because when you're making cortisol is made on the same cholesterol molecule. That's why you need some cholesterol, right? Okay, cortisol is made on cholesterol molecules. And if you're making cholesterol, then you don't have enough of the building blocks to make estrogen and progesterone and testosterone and DHEA. Okay, so those female hormones, male hormones, you don't make enough of those. Okay, and when you're under a continual resistance phase of high stress, you won't make enough progesterone. You'll have enough estrogen, but you won't make enough progesterone. Okay, and you'll still have that increase in appetite. You'll still have the increased heart rate. You'll still have the increased acuity. Yes, Lisa. The interesting thing is that when they put mice through periods of extreme stress, and they would go into this resistance phase. And after a while, their bodies would just give out, and they would just be exhausted. And they would lay around and have no energy to do anything. Okay? And that's called adrenal fatigue or adrenal exhaustion. And it does happen. I've treated patients for that. I'm just amazed. You know, I had a patient a couple months ago that came in, and she was sleeping until about 2 p.m, and she'd wake up and she'd still be exhausted, and she'd kind of get around the house to do a little bit of stuff and eat a little bit of dinner, and then she'd go back to bed about 10 and have trouble falling to sleep. So she'd just lay there and read or something, but she didn't have energy to do anything that was active. She was just exhausted because her body was in this exhaustion phase. So cortisol is a very interesting, very dynamic hormone. The interesting thing in that exhaustion phase, remember, anytime that cortisol is low, you're going to maintain fat because your body wants to hold on to it because it's worried about, it's like a starvation mechanism. When you have high or low cortisol, this is the body profile. Okay, so you lose weight, your body actually robs nutrients from your thighs and arms, and it packs it in right here in the abdominal cavity. And it insulates all these internal organs with fat so that they're really good and insulated and safe. So it's an interesting body profile. So you need to sit down when you eat, brush your tongue really well, and then chew your food. Chew your food thoroughly, okay? This great weight loss tip. You ready? 40 times each bite. If you chew your food 40 times each bite, you will actually increase hormones CCK and GLP-1, and those are good hormones that help decrease your appetite, help you feel full, and decrease your fat retention. And it will decrease ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone. The real question is, how do you help yourself recover or help support yourself through stress? How do you help this to not be an issue for you? So does anybody have any ideas from what I told you so far?
Get up and go to bed at the same time every day. That's just what they do.
Awesome. Get up and go to bed at the same time every day. Okay, so the other thing is I want you to look at the stress. And remember, look at your stressors. Have you ever been super stressed out and you said, now wait a minute, what am I actually stressed out about? And actually written them down?
That's a good idea.
It's a fun idea. Okay, because when you write them down, you go, oh my gosh, that's stupid. Why am I worried about that? That's what happens, really. I'm amazed. Okay, so you look at your stressors and you say, can I change the situation? Can I change myself in the situation? Or can I leave the situation? Okay, so a good example of this would be, I have a son. He just absolutely loves to play his trombone. And he has to practice for an hour every day. Has anyone ever been in a small space with the trombone? Okay, it's a little loud. Okay, it's a lot loud. Okay, so examples of how you could deal with this stressor, right? Can I change the situation would be, can I send him somewhere else? Can I enclose him in a room and pat it? Okay, so that's changing the situation. Can I change myself? An example of that would be, can I put noise headphones on, go get the shooting things, or, plug my ears or whatever. Can I do something like that, changing myself to fit the situation? Or I can leave the situation. I can go somewhere else and do my stuff and not have to deal with the trombone. So that's one example of how to deal with the stressor. Now, I understand that there are some stressors in your life that you can't change and are going to be there, and they're going to come back and back. Okay, so those are the ones that are kind of set. But I think there's a lot of other little stressors in our lives that we can look at. We can say, hey, we can let this go. We don't need it. Okay? And image is really fascinating to me because I love to watch old movies. I just love to watch old movies. And I love White Christmas. And Rosemary Clooney stars in White Christmas. And I just think she is absolutely gorgeous. And I think she looks good. She looks really good. And in her time, she was considered gorgeous. And she was not considered overweight. But in our time,
She doesn't look like Twiggy. She would be a plus size model.
So, yeah, she would be. Yeah. She would be a plus size model. So if you look at Twiggy, didn't do it on purpose. But she unknowingly started a trend of super, super skinny. In fact, to be this skinny, this is not natural for most people. It was natural for Twiggy. But for most people, it's not natural. Most people to achieve this have to go into anorexia or bulimia. And that's just not healthy. And we don't want to go there. So I think as we're thinking about our body image, we need to remember that what society says about body image is not correct. Okay? We need to be healthy body for us. Okay? We need to say, okay, I'm in a healthy body for me. And it's okay if I have a little tiny bit of extra weight here because I am healthy. Okay? So I just want you to remember that don't let society distort your view of where you want to go. I want you to think about who you want to be. So with that in mind, I want you to close your eyes for a minute. And I want you to think about what image you would like to have for yourself. And I want you to remember that this image needs to be realistic because a Great Dane is never going to look like a Chihuahua. And I am never going to look like Twiggy because my bone structure is much larger than that. Okay, so realistically, think about what you want to look like and what you want to feel like. How do you want to feel? Okay, and I want you to hold on to that vision. Okay, so do you have a really clear view in mind of where you want to go? Okay. That's what I want you to remember, is that view. A clear, healthy body, nice view. Because, have you heard the saying, don't look at beauty magazines because they only make you feel ugly? Okay? I want you to try to ignore all those things that society is throwing at you, because they're all aimed to make us feel ugly and not enough. I mean, I don't know, they're actually aimed to make the person that paying the magazine money. But the end result is that they, make us feel like we're not enough. And that is never a message you want to send to yourself. You want to send the message that I am beautiful for who I am. We're going to move on to bacteria. So bacteria are very interesting. So earlier I told you that what happens in here in your gut determines what happens everywhere else in your body, because we are what we eat, right? But what happens in here is very important, and I'm going to show you a couple studies that show this. There are so many studies out there on bacteria and about your gut health and what happens. Okay, so they took 292 people, and they did samples of them. They did stool samples of them. What they found was that 1 in 4 of these 292 people had less bacteria in their intestine, and their bacteria were less diverse. Their bacteria, they didn't have as many different kinds of bacteria. Okay? And what they found was that this correlated, this 1/4 of people typically had more insulin resistance, they were more obese, and they had higher cholesterol. Okay? So insulin resistance is a precursor to diabetes. So we don't want to go there, right? Okay, so they had higher cholesterol, more insulin resistance, and more obesity. These people that had less diverse, less bacteria. Okay? And what they found was, they made dietary modifications to these people. They fed them on a more vegetable diet. They had a lot more vegetable fiber, and it actually changed that diversity. And they didn't see if that diversity affected their insulin resistance after that. They just published the study and they said, okay, that's the next thing we're going to check out. Okay, so this study this is my favorite bacteria study. I think it's so cool. Okay, so they took identical twins, and they would find identical twins that one of the twins was slim and one of the twins was obese. And then they would take stool cultures from these twins and they would feed them to mice. Okay? And then, poor mice, huh? Okay. And then what they found was that the mice that were fed the bacteria from the skinny twin stayed the same. The mice that were fed the stool samples from the obese twin gained weight and became obese themselves. Okay? So, what is this telling you? Tell me what you're thinking about this. Let's say, okay, we learned from the first study that dietary modifications to those people that didn't have as many actually increased their diversity and increased their number of bacteria. So let's be realistic about what we want to do with our bodies. We want to make dietary modifications, feed ourselves the right thing so that we can have more diverse, higher numbers of good bacteria, right? Okay, so let's talk about, so there's a lot of people that are taking probiotics because of this study, and I just want to talk for a minute about probiotics because I think there's a ton of money spent on probiotics. And they're good, they're really good, and they're important, but people don't know what the quality of their probiotic is. They don't know where it comes from, okay? So a lot of the probiotics that I sell are actually grown on a vegetable culture rather than a dairy culture because a lot of my patients end up not drinking a lot of milk. They come to me when they've gone through everything and they just cut out dairy altogether because they didn't feel good on it. So, it's important to know where they get the bacteria, what kind of media are they growing the bacteria on, and how many bacteria are in the product that you're getting, okay? So typically, if you're eating yogurt, let's say you're eating yogurt, okay? Yogurt has a lot of sugar in it, So it's not always your best source of probiotic. But if you're eating a yogurt, how many bacteria are in a yogurt?
She just lactobacillus.
There's one kind. It's lactobacillus. Okay, so you're not getting the diversity you need. And it's only 1 million. There's only 1 million bacteria in yogurt. Okay. Now, if you go to the store and you buy a Line or Culturelle is actually pretty high, but the Activia yogurt, you're going to get a little more than that. So Activia has 4 billion bacteria in it, and a Line has 1 billion bacteria in it. Culturelle has 10, so it's a little higher. But there is no bifidobacterium in it. It's only lactobacillus, just like yogurts. Like down here, these are products that I use these for. So Orthobiotic has 20 billion bacteria in it. And it also has an additional product in it called Saccharomyces. And there's 4 different types of bacteria in Orthobiotic. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 kinds of bacteria. So it also has Saccharomyces boulardii in it. And Saccharomyces boulardii, they've done a lot of research into Saccharomyces. It's a yeast type that they found actually fights Candida, and it helps good bacteria establish. Okay, so Saccharomyces is really good. Now, Florastor is a product that is only Saccharomyces, and it's 90 cents a pill, 90 cents a capsule for just Saccharomyces on that. The Orthobiotic is 99 cents a pill, and it has the 20 billion bacteria and the Saccharomyces. So it is a very good product if you're going to take a probiotic. So the study is very interesting because it says, yeah, we want to change the bacteria in our gut. I would propose that maybe a better way to change that is by changing our diet. And then, if you're taking a probiotic, it's going to grow better and it's going to do better. So it shut off probably. A probiotic is a good idea, but I don't think it's something that you need to take on a continuous basis. I usually recommend maybe 90 days on a probiotic and then doing it, for 4 days, once a month or something to kind of help repopulate that. And then when you do a probiotic, make sure it's a very robust probiotic that has a lot of different species in it. And it has a lot, if you're going to spend money, make sure you're getting a good quality. So that probiotic is made by a prescription quality company. Now, prescription quality means they take each lot and they test the product to make sure it's potent and that it's pure and that there's no contamination in it, right? So it's important to get a good quality product.
In 2013, Canadian researchers did a study on popular supplements. They studied 44 bottles made by 12 different companies. What they found was that many of the pills were not what they claimed to be. They had been diluted or replaced, sometimes by things like soybean, wheat, and rice. Only 2 of the company had 100% authentic ingredients as listed on the label.
Yeah, so prebiotics are bacteria food, and it's new enough, they're new enough out that people go, what? They think you're saying probiotic, but you're really saying prebiotic because they don't really know about it. So there are some fascinating studies on prebiotics. Okay, in obese mice, prebiotic feeding, then it talks about how it changed these bacteria. But what they found was prebiotics improved glucose tolerance. Okay, so that means it made you tolerate glucose better, so there was less insulin resistance, because when you're insulin resistant, you make too much insulin, and insulin makes you fat. And prebiotics reduced fat mass development, oxidative stress, and low-grade inflammation. So it decreased fat mass, it decreased oxidation, and it decreased inflammation. So a prebiotic fed to obese mice did all those things, okay? It also helped improve leptin sensitivity and other metabolic parameters. We don't have time today to talk about leptin. That is a fascinating hormone. Second study on prebiotics This is medical language. Gut microbiota, fermentation of prebiotics increases satiogenic and increase gut peptide production with consequences for appetite, sensation, and glucose response after meal. Essentially, they help you feel more full and improve your response to glucose, okay, to sugars. So they decrease insulin and decrease fat storage. So do prebiotics sound like something that you want to be involved in? What they found in studies was that 10 grams of inulin fiber per day caused weight loss in obese subjects. Okay, so inulin fiber is just vegetable fiber. That's what it is. Okay, and we can get that from our diet, but we can also find a really low, inexpensive prebiotic inulin that you can take and supplement with. Okay, so I think prebiotics are the way to go, because per serving of prebiotic inulin, you're going to be looking at maybe 33 cents, 20 cents to 33 cents, depending on how much you take. Okay, so it's a lot less expensive way to feed your body. Yes, feed your bacteria.
Better the prebiotic than the probiotic. You should be eating both.
So here's the really crazy thing. Okay, when you start a prebiotic, you will usually get some gas because it's feeding those good bacteria. Right? They're eating it. They're making air. They're releasing carbon dioxide. Okay, so yeah. So it's not really fun to start taking. So usually what I do when I do have patients take prebiotic is I have them start at low dose, a quarter teaspoon a day. And I usually have them start it when they're off work. Okay. So I'll have them start on that low dose. And then as they tolerate it, they increase it up to that 2 teaspoons a day. Okay. So that's what I have you do, have patients do.
It's not a capsule,
It's a powder. And you know what? It's kind of sweet. It's a little bit sweet, and you can just mix it in your drink and it tastes good. So, and it's, like I said, it's a lot less expensive way to go. But I really want you to think about making sure that your diet is feeding those bacteria first. Don't depend on a capsule or a pill. Feed yourself the good vegetable fiber and then supplement with that to help. Okay. So prebiotics are an awesome tool.
Wow, I am so glad that we were together today to cover these topics. We talked today about our self-image and how that self-image matters. And we also talked about my favorite hormone, cortisol. I love to talk about cortisol. It's very interesting and very fascinating how it works, but it's only one of many hormones that really do make a difference in our body. We also talked today about bacteria in our intestine and how important those are and how it can actually influence a lot of other things other than just what's happening in the intestine. So those were 3 really cool things that we covered today in this class, and I hope that you got your 3 takeaway things that you can take home and do in your life and make a difference in your body composition with those 3 things. So I don't know if you realized this or not, or noticed, but I've noticed there's just a ton of information out there on how to lose weight and how to be slimmer. There is, every time you go through the checks down, there's a magazine there, and that magazine says how to lose 20 pounds for the holidays, or how to get in that cute bathing suit. You know, they always have these ads, and everywhere you look, there is information on how to lose weight. And the hard part is, how do you know how to take that information and make it work for you? How do you do that? So I was listening to a lecture a few years ago, and he started talking about something called MTHFR. And just from what he told me in the lecture, I knew that MTHFR was really important for me in helping my patients. So I decided I was going to do some research on MTHFR. So I started to get into the medical research and look at MTHFR, and I found out some information about it, but I did not find out how to make it work for me and how it could help my patients. So I'd spent about 20 or 30 hours, and I was getting nowhere. I didn't know where else to go to make this work. And so I went back to the original lecture's website, and I found that he offered a full 2-day course in MTHFR. So I was really excited, and I thought, well, I really want to sign up for this course because it's exactly what I need. It's exactly what I need. Because there's just too much information out there, and I don't know how it pertains to me. So have you guys ever felt like that? Like there's just too much information out there, and you don't know how it pertains to you? So that's how I felt, and I knew this course was going to help me. So then I looked up this course, and I found that it cost a lot of money, and I was kind of discouraged when I saw the price. I thought, oh, I can just do it to myself. I don't need to pay that money. I'll just do it myself. So have you ever felt like that? You probably have. So I realized after a couple hours of more research that it was useless, and I needed to go sign up for this class and find out how to really make it apply to my patients. So I did. I signed up for the class, and I was so glad I did. It was a great investment for me, and it's been great help for my patients. So I think that some of you are in that same situation right now. There's a ton of information out there, and you don't know how to make it work for you. So imagine what it would feel like if you knew what to do and if you had the support to do it. Imagine what it would feel like to know what to do and have the support to do it. I put some materials together, and I came up with an 8-hour Imagine course. This is the full Imagine course. It's 4 sessions of 2 hours each. We cover all the topics in Imagine. We talk about I for image, and your self-image, and your self-talk. We also talk about M for messengers, and we talk about all the other hormones and how they influence your body composition and how you can modify them. We also talk about A, your attitude and your emotions, and how to get rid of those stored emotions that are helping you to store fat that you don't need. We're also going to talk about G for gastrointestinal health. That intestine is extremely important, and it's more than just the bacteria in there that matter. So we're going to talk about how to boost the health in that intestine and get your body feeling better all over. We're also going to talk about N for nutrition. And we all know that Amy's definition of nutrition is probably going to be different than everyone else's, because I know how what you eat affects those hormones. So we're going to talk about the best nutrition for you. E, we're going to talk about exercise and sleep. We know that exercise is very important, but what is the kind of exercise that's going to work the best, and how often do you have to do it? How do you know what to do? We're also going to talk about S is for sleep. We're going to talk about how important sleep is, what you need to do to improve that sleep. So that is what we will cover in the full 8 hours of Imagine course. I looked around trying to decide how much do I charge for this class, because I couldn't find anything equivalent. I couldn't find anything that both helped with the health part of it and the physical part of it, but also helped with the mental and emotional portions of having a better body composition. So I looked around, I couldn't find anything equivalent. So I just looked at what most practitioners charge that have training like I do, and they charge anywhere from $200 to $500 per hour. $200 to $500 per hour. So if you take that $200 to $500 per hour, let's say best case scenario, $200 per hour, you times that by 8, which is the number of hours you get in this class, that's $1,600. $1,600 in value is what you get from this course. $1,600 in value. The problem with that $1,600 was that I feel like I want to help more people, and I felt like that cost might be a little prohibitive for some people to spend. So I am prepared to offer this course to you for $160. You can purchase it on my website at tetonsage.com/imagine. There's a link there. Or you can go to my store on the internet, that's store.tetonsage.com, and search for Imagine. I would like to read a couple testimonials to you. The first is from Susan. Amy McDougall has done an amazing job being my mentor for health. She's guided me through ways to improve how I feel. I now consume very little sugar, and I do not even miss it. Before, I was a total sugaraholic and thought I would have a hard time going without it. I've been able to reduce it by 95%. I feel great and I have more energy. The added side benefit is I am losing weight. This next testimonial is from Amy. Hi, Amy. I'm doing quite well. I'm almost done weaning myself off the supplements, and I'm still feeling tons better energy-wise. I was actually just thinking about that last night. Energy levels. Thank you for checking on me. Always a work in progress, but learning a lot along the way. Started eating differently. Started going back to physical therapy for some of my aches and pains, and I'm back at the gym finally. You definitely started me down the proper road to taking care of myself. Most importantly, all through nutrition and no medications. Thank you. So I'm very interested in rewarding people who are motivated to work with me. So if you'll look at the attached information with this video, you will find a fast action bonus if you act before a certain date. And imagine how much fun it would be to work together. I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you very much for your time.